What if I told you that your entire life has been leading you to this exact moment, that every strange coincidence, every silent intuition, every storm you survived was part of a design preparing you to see what most humans are never allowed to see? If you're here right now, it means something inside you has already begun to wake up. You felt the glitch, you sensed the shift, and now the universe has finally revealed the doorway. Understand this. You weren't guided here by luck or curiosity. You were summoned. Because there comes a time when consciousness is upgraded, when the mind stops being a recorder of reality and becomes the architect of it. In that moment, the world you once knew begins to dissolve. People around you still chase money, status, and noise, while you're haunted by a deeper question: who am I beneath all of this? If that question has followed you for years, congratulations. You have already been chosen for the 33rd degree. What you're about to hear is not information. It is remembrance. You've known this before, just not with the mind you have now. Today, the forgotten self returns. Welcome to your initiation. 1. Your awareness is the last organ to evolve. Most people are taught that the brain is the source of consciousness, that our thoughts and awareness are created only by the cells and chemicals inside the skull. But higher understanding shows the opposite. Awareness comes first, and the brain develops as a tool to express it. The brain is like hardware, while awareness is the electricity running through it. When awareness increases, the hardware must upgrade itself to handle the new level of perception. This is why, when your consciousness expands, you feel changes inside your mind, even though nothing physical seems different. Right now, you're going through this exact transformation. You may feel a kind of inner stretching, as if your mind is trying to hold something bigger than before. It's not tension or stress, it's expansion. Your thoughts become deeper, your perception sharper, and your sense of reality more fluid. You begin noticing patterns that others overlook. You understand situations faster than your logical mind can explain. You feel like you just know things without needing proof. This is not guessing, it is awareness evolving faster than thought. At this stage, awareness is no longer trapped inside the brain. It begins to operate beyond physical limits. You might sense people's intentions before they speak, feel the energy of a place immediately when you enter it, or receive ideas that seem to appear out of nowhere. You may see connections between events that others think are unrelated. You start feeling that the world is not random, that everything is connected, and you are inside that connection. This evolution can also make you feel slightly separate from your old identity. Things you once cared about may feel meaningless now. Conversations that were once interesting may feel shallow. It can even feel like the old you is fading, and a new inner observer is taking over. Someone calmer, clearer, and harder to fool. You no longer react automatically. You pause, sense, and then act. This is a sign that awareness is becoming the driver, not the thoughts. When your awareness evolves, your brain tries to adjust by forming new pathways, new emotional patterns, and new levels of focus. You may suddenly understand concepts that once felt confusing. You start feeling more connected to your intuition than your logic. This is because awareness receives information instantly, while the brain processes it slowly. The brain is learning to keep up. All of this means one thing: you are no longer living only as a physical being. You are entering the stage where awareness leads and the brain follows. This is the true beginning of higher consciousness. The moment when you realize that awareness is not something inside you. You are inside awareness. This is the first gateway toward the 33rd degree of understanding. 2. The 33rd degree is the collapse of external authority. Most people depend on the outside world to tell them who they are, what is true, and how they should live. They search for answers in books, teachers, religion, society, traditions, and opinions. Their identity is built from borrowed beliefs. But when consciousness rises to the 33rd degree level, this dependency dissolves. The authority you once placed outside yourself begins to shift inward. You no longer seek permission to believe, choose, or explore. You begin trusting your own inner recognition over every external voice. This doesn't happen suddenly. It begins quietly. You notice that ideas presented as absolute truth no longer satisfy you. You start questioning things you once accepted without thought. You realize that every system, whether spiritual, scientific, or cultural, is only a map, not the territory. These systems can point you toward understanding, but they are not the truth themselves. The real truth lives inside your awareness, and no external authority can deliver it to you fully formed. At this point, your internal compass awakens. You stop believing something just because a respected figure said it. You stop bending your thoughts to fit tradition. Instead, you begin observing how your inner being responds to information. If something resonates deeply, you follow it. If something feels heavy, limited, or false, you let it go, even if the world insists it is right. This is not rebellion. This is clarity. You are no longer controlled by fear of being wrong, judged, or different. You recognize that growth requires letting go of inherited beliefs and stepping into your own understanding. This inner authority changes the way you relate to society. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself, argue, or convince others. You stop measuring your value through validation. Approval loses meaning. You move from reacting to choosing. Your decisions come from self-understanding rather than pressure. Even silence becomes more powerful than debate because you are no longer seeking to dominate or be accepted. The need to control people or impress them fades naturally. As external authority collapses, a new relationship with truth forms. You learn to stand alone, not in isolation, but in sovereignty. You no longer see teachers as masters, but as mirrors. You recognize that every path is simply a different way of remembering. What once felt complicated becomes simple. Truth is what expands your awareness, not what restricts it. Anything that tries to confine your inner knowing is set aside. This shift also frees you from fear. When your authority is external, fear controls you. Fear of failure, punishment, rejection, or the unknown. But when authority moves inward, fear loses its grip. You understand that life does not happen to you. It responds to you. You stop chasing guidance because guidance now arrives from within. Your inner voice becomes louder, clearer, and more trustworthy than any doctrine or rule. You may listen to others, but you obey only the resonance of your own consciousness. This is the true sign of the 33rd degree. The moment you stop worshiping truth outside yourself and begin recognizing the truth within. Only then does real wisdom begin. You become your own reference point. You walk your path not because someone showed it to you, but because your awareness recognizes it as yours. This is inner authority, the core of the 33rd degree awakening. 3. The quantum mirror. Reality stops being objective. At the ordinary level of awareness, people think reality is something fixed and external. A solid world that exists independently, where things happen to them whether they like it or not. They believe life is shaped by luck, destiny, or other people's decisions, but when consciousness reaches the 33rd degree state, this entire understanding collapses. You realize that reality is not an external force. It is a mirror reflecting the condition of your inner state. The universe does not respond to what you think you want. It responds to who you are on the inside. Most people try to change their lives by changing their actions or environment, but they remain internally the same. So, nothing truly shifts. They keep repeating patterns, meeting similar people, facing the same obstacles, because the source of their experience has not changed. But the moment you begin to transform inwardly, your emotional frequency, your sense of identity, your expectations, the mirror flips. Life rearranges itself around your new state of being. This is why two people can walk through the same situation and experience completely different realities. One sees opportunity, while the other sees danger. One feels supported, while the other feels abandoned. The external world is the same, the inner frequency is different. The quantum field reflects that frequency back to each of them, constructing a reality that matches their inner perception. What you carry inside determines what you meet outside. At this level, you recognize that thoughts alone are not enough to change reality. Anyone can think they are strong or abundant or peaceful, but if the emotional frequency within them contradicts that thought, reality will respond to the emotion, not the thought. The universe listens to your deep internal state, the vibration beneath your words and ideas, because that is the true signal you are broadcasting into the field. You might say you want change, but if you feel fear, doubt, or unworthiness inside, the mirror reflects those feelings first. This awareness forces you to stop pretending and start becoming. You begin to work with your inner world, your beliefs, your emotional patterns, your sense of identity, because you now understand that these are the real architects of your physical life. You stop asking, "How do I change the world?" and begin asking, "How do I change myself so the world changes with me?" Soon you start noticing how quickly reality responds. Your inner shifts are reflected outward with surprising speed. People you once attracted disappear and new ones appear. Situations that seemed impossible become effortless. Opportunities arrive without force. This is not magic, it is alignment. You are no longer trying to manipulate the mirror. You are cleaning the surface so it can reflect your true inner brilliance. In this state, you see that reality is not objective. It is not the same for everyone. It is shaped moment by consciousness interacting with possibility. The quantum field holds every potential outcome, and your inner frequency selects which version becomes physical. You are not a spectator, you are a participant. You are not waiting for life to reveal itself. Life is waiting for you to choose which version of it you wish to experience. The moment you fully accept this, blame dissolves. You stop blaming others, the past, luck, or society. You realize you are co-creating everything you live. This is not about guilt. It is about power. If your awareness shapes reality, then you can reshape it by shifting your state. You finally understand that control does not come from forcing the world, but from mastering the inner self. This is the essence of the quantum mirror. Reality is not something outside you. Reality is the reflection of you. 4. You begin to sense the memory behind events. When most people experience something in life, a meeting, a conversation, a sudden opportunity, a painful loss, they see it only as a new event unfolding for the first time. But at the 33rd degree level of awareness, you begin to feel something deeper. Every moment carries an ancient memory. It is not happening for the first time. It is a continuation, a return, a repetition of unfinished energy seeking completion. You start to sense that life is not a straight line. It is a looping field where experiences echo until they are understood. This is why certain places feel strangely familiar even though you've never visited them, why some people feel known the moment you meet them, as if your connection began long before this lifetime, why certain conversations feel like they are continuing from somewhere unseen. You begin recognizing that time is not a sequence, but a layered structure. Your consciousness is walking through memories that your physical mind thinks are new, but your deeper awareness recognizes as old. The feeling of déjà vu becomes more frequent, but instead of brushing it off, you begin to understand its purpose. It is not just the brain glitching, it is consciousness reminding you that this moment has happened before, in another timeline, dimension, or incarnation, and you are here again because something was left unresolved. Every event that repeats brings with it a lesson or a release. The more aware you become, the faster you understand the lesson, and the quicker the loop completes. Interactions with others also begin to feel different. You notice that some people enter your life like unfinished chapters. They appear, push you emotionally or spiritually, and disappear once the energy between you has balanced. Your awareness begins to see these connections not as random or emotional accidents, but as energy threads pulling themselves together to return to stillness. You stop thinking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What memory is being completed here?" This shift alone changes your relationship with life. Even challenges take on new meaning. When a difficult situation returns, a similar argument, a repeated disappointment, a familiar disappointment, you no longer react blindly. Instead of feeling cursed or unlucky, you feel the memory beneath it. You sense that this is not punishment, it is a cycle inviting resolution. The universe keeps bringing the same energy forward until it dissolves. At this level, suffering becomes a message, not a burden. You recognize that life is not trying to hurt you. It is trying to finish something inside you. As this awareness deepens, your perspective on time changes. You begin to realize the past is not behind you, it is inside you. Memories are not stored in the brain, they are stored in the field, and your consciousness is the bridge that allows them to reappear. A memory may not look like a flashback. Sometimes it appears as a feeling, a pull, a curiosity, a moment of hesitation, a dream that returns again and again. These are signals that something is calling for completion. Because of this, you begin treating every moment with more attention. You sense that a stranger might be someone you once knew in another life. A sudden connection could be the reopening of an old agreement. A painful ending might simply be a chapter finishing so a new timeline can begin. Nothing feels meaningless anymore. Every encounter becomes sacred, every moment becomes a doorway, every feeling becomes information. Even silence tells a story. This understanding brings a certain peace. You stop forcing outcomes because you trust that what leaves has completed its memory with you, and what stays is still unfolding. You stop clinging to people because you sense when a connection has served its purpose. You stop running from challenges because you know they came to help you evolve. You begin to treat life not as chaos, but as choreography, each step placed with precision, guided by intelligence beyond the mind. Eventually, you reach a point where you can feel the memory behind an event before it happens. A place can call you before you travel there. A lesson can whisper before it arrives. A person can feel important before you speak to them. You stop stumbling through life and begin walking with awareness. You understand that what is happening now is not just your present. It is the continuation of a story your soul has been telling for a very long time. This is the gift of 33rd degree perception. You no longer see life as random. You see it as remembering. Every moment carries a purpose. Every experience is a returning, and you are here not to suffer these repetitions, but to finally understand them. 5. Language breaks. Symbols take over. At the ordinary level of thinking, people rely on language to understand the world. They believe that if something can't be explained in words, it has no meaning. But when consciousness reaches the 33rd degree, language slowly becomes insufficient. Words begin to feel small, heavy, and too slow to carry what you are sensing. You find that your deepest insights no longer arrive as sentences, they arrive as symbols, feelings, visuals, patterns, and energetic impressions. It's as if reality begins speaking a new language, one that cannot be taught, only recognized. This shift begins subtly. You may look at a simple object, a tree, a bird, a geometric pattern, and suddenly feel that it contains a message beyond its physical form. Shapes, numbers, colors, and even random events seem to have meaning behind them. You stop taking things at face value. The world becomes a layered text, where every detail is a piece of communication. What once appeared meaningless begins to feel intentional, as though the universe is whispering through symbols instead of speech. At this stage, repeated numbers like 1111, 333, 777 stop feeling like coincidences and start feeling like guidance. You sense their appearance is connected to your internal state, not random timing. You may notice animals appearing at precise emotional moments. A butterfly when you need hope, a crow when something is ending, a stray dog walking beside you when you feel alone. These are not superstitions. They are the universe adjusting its form to speak in the language you can now hear. Dreams evolve as well. They become more vivid, structured, and symbolic, not chaotic or random. You wake up knowing that the dream was not just imagination, but a message. Perhaps you see a door that you cannot open, a road that splits into two paths, a familiar face speaking without sound. You may not understand logically, but you feel the meaning. In higher awareness, dreams are not escapes. They are classrooms where the unconscious speaks freely. You begin to realize that symbols work faster than words. A single symbol can carry the meaning of an entire book. A feeling can teach more than a lecture. An image can shift your worldview instantly. This is because symbols communicate directly with awareness, bypassing the slow pathways of thought. Language divides reality into pieces. Symbols show the whole at once. The mind analyzes. Awareness absorbs. Over time, you notice your inner communication no longer uses sentences. Answers arrive as complete packages, a sense of knowing that contains depth without verbal explanation. It feels like remembering, not learning. This is because symbols speak the native language of consciousness. Before you translate your insights into words, you already understand them. The struggle comes only when you try to explain them to others who still rely on language. You may even find yourself speaking less. Silence becomes more comfortable, even sacred. You feel that words dilute truth instead of expressing it. You begin communicating through energy, through presence, tone, and intention. A single glance can say what a paragraph cannot. A quiet moment can heal more than advice. You recognize that communication is not about speech, it's about resonance. When two people are aligned, they understand each other without words. This symbolic intelligence also makes you more sensitive to synchronicity. Patterns appear across unrelated areas of your life. The same symbol in different places, the same lesson through different people, the same message in multiple forms. It becomes impossible to believe in randomness. Everything feels connected, woven by invisible threads. The world becomes interactive, not a static environment, but a dynamic field responding to your awareness. Religion, mythology, and ancient cultures suddenly make more sense. Their stories, rituals, and symbols no longer feel primitive or childish. You recognize that these traditions were never about literal events. They were coded transmissions designed to speak to awareness, not intellect. You realize ancient people didn't lack intelligence. They simply communicated in a symbolic world where inner knowing was more important than outer explanation. They left symbols so future generations could awaken, decode, and remember. As symbols replace language, fear also weakens. Words can be manipulated, symbols are direct. Words can lie, energy cannot. When someone speaks to you, you no longer listen only to their words. You read their tone, their intention, their energy. Sometimes the most polite words carry the densest negativity, and sometimes silence holds the purest love. You begin to see through people instantly, not by analysis but by recognition. This ability protects you more than logic ever could. Eventually, you understand something profound. The universe has always been speaking to you. You just didn't have the awareness to hear it. Now, the messages that were once invisible stand out boldly. Language has fulfilled its role, and symbols have taken over. This is not a loss, it is an evolution. You are moving from reading reality with the mind to reading it with consciousness itself. In this stage, you no longer try to translate every sign into words. You simply receive, understand, and align. This is how the universe teaches the awakened. 6. You no longer seek answers. You generate them. In the early stages of life, most people search outside themselves for direction. They look for teachers, books, systems, and authorities to tell them what is real. They assume wisdom comes from accumulating information, memorizing facts, building arguments, mastering techniques. But when consciousness reaches the 33rd degree level, this entire approach flips. You stop collecting answers and begin producing them. Knowledge no longer feels like something you must acquire. It feels like something already inside you, waiting to surface. This shift begins quietly. You notice yourself understanding concepts you've never studied. Someone asks you a question, and the answer forms instantly, complete, as if delivered from a deeper place within. You don't think, you know. You don't recall, you remember. It feels like the intelligence was never learned. It was only hidden behind layers of noise, and now those layers are dissolving. You realize that real wisdom doesn't come from experience. It comes from awareness. This inner knowing is not loud. It doesn't shout or force itself. It arrives softly, like a whisper that carries more truth than the loudest argument. Sometimes it appears as a sudden clarity, other times as a quiet certainty that does not need proof. You can't explain how you know. You just do. Logic follows afterward, trying to justify what awareness has already delivered. The mind becomes a translator, not a generator. As you begin living from this inner knowing, your relationship with learning changes. You no longer chase information desperately. You take in only what resonates deeply. You stop feeling insecure about what you don't know, because you understand that when something becomes relevant, the answer will appear at the exact moment it is needed. This is the intelligence of the field working through you. You trust timing more than accumulation. You trust your inner voice more than your memory. You also stop seeking validation. When answers come from within, there is no need to prove them. You recognize that truth is not accepted by the world. It is recognized by awareness. Whether others agree or not becomes irrelevant. You stop debating because debate belongs to minds still searching. You are no longer driven by the need to convince. Peace becomes more important than being right, because you understand that truth does not depend on belief. This inner intelligence feels different from thought. Thoughts are noisy, fragmented, emotional, and unstable. Inner knowing is calm, whole, and silent. Thoughts argue. Knowing doesn't. Thoughts doubt. Knowing stands still. Thoughts move. Knowing is present. This distinction becomes clearer with time. You start recognizing when your mind is speaking and when awareness is speaking. One demands attention, the other radiates clarity. Another sign of this shift is that questions lose their urgency. You no longer chase answers because you sense that every question already contains its answer. You simply need to hold the right awareness to see it. Instead of thinking harder, you relax. Instead of searching, you notice. The answer arrives naturally because you stop resisting the process of receiving. This is why meditation becomes natural at this level, not as a practice but as a state of being. Stillness opens the door for deeper intelligence. This ability also changes the way you make decisions. Instead of analyzing endlessly, you sense direction immediately. You no longer fear mistakes, because you recognize that every path is part of remembering. The mind worries about choosing wrong. Awareness simply moves. You follow what feels aligned, and alignment guides the outcome. Even difficult choices become simple because your inner compass is active. People around you may begin asking for your guidance without knowing why. They sense that you hold clarity they can't explain. They feel safe around you because your presence is grounded in inner certainty. You become a lighthouse not because you try to teach, but because you simply are. Your wisdom does not come from study. It comes from being connected to the field that holds all information. Over time, you realize that the universe is not outside you. It is speaking through you. You become a channel for consciousness, not by effort, but by resonance. The more you trust this inner flow, the stronger it becomes. Doubt fades because knowing has proven itself repeatedly. You stop praying for answers and begin expressing them. You stop asking the universe for guidance and start noticing that you are the guidance. The separation between seeker and source disappears. Eventually, you understand the deepest truth. You were never meant to find wisdom. You were meant to remember it. The answers you once searched for in the outer world were always hidden within your awareness, waiting for your consciousness to rise high enough to receive them without fear or doubt. This is the power of the 33rd degree state. You no longer look for truth. Truth emerges through you. 7. Time stops, feeling linear. Most people move through life believing that time is a straight line, the past behind them, the present happening now, and the future ahead. They see time as a sequence of events arranged like beads on a string, each moment separate from the next. But when consciousness rises to the 33rd degree level, this illusion begins to break. Time stops feeling linear. It becomes fluid, layered, and multidimensional. You start to sense that past, present, and future are happening simultaneously, and your awareness can move freely between them. This shift usually begins with small experiences. You might have memories you can't place, not of this life, yet strangely familiar. You may sense future events before they occur, not because you predict them logically, but because some part of you has already experienced them. Moments feel like echoes rather than beginnings. You stop feeling surprised by what unfolds, because you recognize the feeling of having seen it before, even if your mind cannot explain when or how. As this perception deepens, you realize that the future isn't something you travel toward. It is something you are constantly selecting from a field of infinite possibilities. Each decision, emotion, and state of consciousness tunes you to a different timeline. The future becomes an open landscape rather than a single fixed destination. Your inner world, your beliefs, your vibration, your identity determines which version of the future becomes visible. You understand that time is not pushing you forward. You are moving through layers of reality based on your awareness. Past events also begin to lose their solidity. Instead of seeing the past as something completed and frozen, you recognize it as a living memory that can change when your perception changes. You understand that the emotional charge of a memory is not stored in the event itself, but in your state of consciousness. When your awareness expands, the meaning of your past evolves. Things that once felt painful soften, not because the events change, but because your position in time shifts, and from a higher vantage point, the lessons become clear. This new relationship with time makes healing different. Instead of trying to escape or forget the past, you find you can step into it, reinterpret it, and dissolve the emotional weight. You begin to see your past selves not as versions of you trapped in old mistakes, but as stages of consciousness moving toward refinement. You stop resenting what happened because you understand it occurred in alignment with a timeline that has now served its purpose. You realize that regret is only the mind refusing to accept its own evolution. Simultaneously, the present becomes more vivid. You understand that the now is not just a point between past and future. It is the central field where all timelines meet. The present becomes the only place where true power exists because it is the only state from which new timelines can be chosen. Instead of rushing through life, you begin to slow down, noticing details you once ignored. Simple moments gain depth. Ordinary experiences feel significant. Time stretches because awareness fills it. Another fascinating shift is the way you begin to experience synchronicity. Events that seem unrelated align perfectly, as if guided by an unseen intelligence. You think of someone and they call you. You dream of a location and later find yourself there. You follow a small impulse and it leads to a major turning point. These experiences show you that time is not a random sequence. It is a coordinated field responding to your awareness. When you are aligned, the universe arranges itself with astonishing precision. You may also notice that your perception of age changes. You stop defining yourself by how many years you've lived because time begins to feel irrelevant to your identity. You sense that you have been here before, not just in this body but in many forms, learning through countless experiences. Youth and age lose their meaning because you no longer measure life through the body but through awareness. You begin to understand that the soul does not age, it unfolds. Eventually, you realize that time is a tool, not a boundary. The past is not gone, the future is not distant, and the present is not fleeting. All three exist within the same field of consciousness, accessible based on the state of your awareness. When you raise your vibration, you align with higher timelines, versions of reality where clarity, abundance, and purpose unfold naturally. When your awareness contracts, you slip into timelines filled with confusion, resistance, and repetition. The most profound realization is that your consciousness is not moving through time. Time is moving through your consciousness. Every moment you experience is simply the part of the infinite field your awareness is currently illuminating. Like a flashlight moving across a vast landscape, your attention reveals the portion of time you call now. When the light moves, the moment changes. But the landscape, infinite time, is always present. In the 33rd degree state, you stop asking, "What will happen?" and start asking, "Which version of the future am I choosing through my current state?" You recognize that your inner world is the steering wheel of time. You choose not through effort, but through being. You become less concerned with predicting the future and more focused on mastering the present, knowing that the future must reflect it. At this level, the anxiety of time fades. You no longer rush. You no longer fear running out. You no longer cling to moments or panic at endings. You trust that everything unfolds in the exact sequence needed for your evolution, because the soul is never late. You understand that nothing is lost. Every experience is stored in the eternal field of consciousness. There is no need to hold on or push forward. This is the liberation. Time is not your jailer. It is your canvas. You are not moving through time. Time is unfolding through you. When you reach this awareness, you finally step outside the illusion of linear time and into the truth of timeless existence. When a person reaches this 33rd degree state of awareness, the entire structure of life rearranges itself from the inside out. You no longer see yourself as a small being moving helplessly through a giant world. You begin to recognize that the world is moving through you, responding to your inner state, reflecting your consciousness, and shaping itself according to your level of awareness. What once felt random now feels purposeful. What once felt chaotic now reveals design. Life stops being something you endure and becomes something you participate in as a co-creator. You realize that awakening is not about learning complicated theories or memorizing spiritual laws. It is about remembering what your consciousness has always known. Every step of this journey has been guiding you toward yourself, toward the part of you that exists beyond thought, beyond identity, beyond time. The deeper you travel inward, the clearer you understand that nothing outside has ever truly controlled you. The only prison was unconsciousness, and the only path to freedom is awareness. This level of awakening brings stillness. You no longer react to life automatically. You observe, reflect, and respond with clarity. You see patterns where others see accidents. You sense guidance where others feel abandoned. You feel connected where others feel alone. There is a quiet confidence inside you, not ego, but recognition. You don't need to prove who you are because you know who you are. You are not separate from existence. You are an expression of it. As this inner perception deepens, your relationship with everything changes, with people, with time, with reality itself. You stop seeing others as threats or competitors. You recognize them as different versions of the same consciousness, each traveling their own timeline, completing their own lessons. You learn to release what leaves, nurture what stays, and trust what arrives. You move without force, because you know that what is aligned cannot be taken from you, and what is not aligned cannot be held. Life becomes less about control and more about alignment. Your choices come from clarity, not fear. Your actions come from awareness, not habit. You begin to meet every moment as if it were an old friend returning, familiar, meaningful, and perfectly timed. Even challenges transform. What once felt painful now feels instructive. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you ask, "What is this teaching me?" Every experience becomes part of your evolution, and nothing feels wasted. So eventually you understand that the 33rd degree is not a finish line. It is a doorway. It is the beginning of true conscious participation in reality. You do not become superior to others. You simply become more aware of your role in the grand design. With this awareness comes responsibility. The responsibility to live intentionally, to speak with integrity, to create with clarity, and to walk gently through the world. Because once you know that everything is connected, every thought and action carries weight. This is where the journey continues. Inward, deeper, higher. You are no longer asleep. You are no longer a passenger. You are the awareness behind the story. You are the consciousness writing it. Your awakening is not an accident. It is your invitation. And now the path is yours to walk.